Time John Lennon takes the vocal lead in this rhythm and blues version of Memphis, Tennessee. Number Dream Baby, which seems to be doing very well for Roy Orbison in the American charts, with Paul McCartney on vocal lead. It's the Beatles. The Beatles with John Lennon take the stage once more for their offering of the record, which is doing so much at present for the Marvelettes. Here now as they cry, "Please, Mr. Postman." Written by our guest for tonight, entitled "Ask Me Why." Our guest being a group by the name of the Beatles. The Beatles will come on stage now with Paul McCartney taking the vocal lead in what must surely be a Spanish classic, Bésame Mucho. Rising very nicely in the charts is Mr. Joe Brown, who is lucky enough to have A Picture of You, which is also the cue for the final offering from the Beatles today, and this time it's a feature for George Harrison.
At the moment, the majority of the Beatles fans are in their hometown of Liverpool, and I have a very strong suspicion it won't be long before they're all over the country. Meanwhile, here's a request from Liverpool for the number which started it all for the Beatles, Love Me Do. This is for Miss Elaine McGarity of Mendip Road, Birkenhead, from Mike.
Time now to bring on stage one of the regular Here We Go groups. 4 young men from Liverpool paying their 4th visit to the show. And this must surely be one of the most dynamic groups in the country today. So stand by now as we bring you the sound of the Beatles. Misery, one of the tracks there from the Beatles' new LP to be released shortly and entitled Please, Please Me. We'll ask the Beatles to stay on stage for another of their own compositions. Do you want to know a secret?
Among the many requests for anything by the Beatles this week are quite a few with rather clever drawings of the boys on them. I've got one here. John, I wondered if you'd read this for us.
This is from Madeline and Margaret of Sheffield, Leeds and Manchester, quick travellers. It's also for Harry and his box.
I thought Jerry had got that.
No, well, a lot of people have asked us this, but the truth about Harry and his box is they're very important. Often the park he walked through, don't we? You know what I mean?
Of course, yes, I understand now. Well, having cleared that up, what number would you like to do?
Well, we'd like to do Chuck Berry's Memphis, Tennessee. Good old Harry.
We're particularly pleased to have the Beatles with us tonight, as it's always nice to see any of the groups that made their first broadcast on Here We Go hitting the charts in a big, big way. And I think that these boys certainly deserve our warm congratulations, because this time they've returned to us with a #1 hit. And that's what we like to see. But what we like to hear, of course, is Please, Please Me. Please, Please Me, written, recorded, and placed at #1 by tonight's guests, the Beatles.
Oh, about that. Well, now, you probably read somewhere recently that John Lemon was being out of the act with a dodgy throat, right, John?
Dodgy, oh, very.
Well, he's back now, as you can hear, and he'll be working with the boys tonight, I guess.
Oh, definitely. I joined them last night, yeah.
Good for you. Now, apart from establishing a sort of fashion in hairstyles, clothes, music, and everything else, you write songs as well, don't you?
Oh, is that what we do?
Well,
yeah, we do write songs.
Haven't you written the new one for Kenny Lynch?
Kenny Lynch, yes. I don't know when it's out, but
It's out now.
buy it.
Why didn't you keep it for yourself? It's a great number.
Well, you know, he's a friend of ours, Kenny. Well, he's only... we met him on the Helen Shapiro show.
But you sing this number yourselves?
We've done it on our LP.
Out next week?
Yes.
All right, well, let's hear it right now. Misery. I'm beginning to see why nobody can live on the same stage with this outfit. So if Diz Disley, George Melly, or... who is it? Rolf Harris to listen this morning. They've got to introduce these boys at the Albert Hall on April the 18th, and good luck to you, mates. And now let's, from a tremendous stack of requests for Please Please Me this week, who's going to read them?
Oliver.
Right, come on then. Let's have this one.
Here we go. First one's for Bar, Jill, Jane, and all the Beatles fans.
All the Beatles fans!
From Zoo and Viv.
Zoo and Viv!
You mind? Here. We can't have that. Let's have another one.
Well, this is for Vivian Simmons and Form 4D of Bexley Grammar School. Yeah, that's it.
That's
Bexley
all.
Grammar School,
And
Kent.
you went to Hanley-Stoke-on-Trent recently, didn't you?
Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
This
yeah.
lot were in the audience.
Yeah, this is for Jean and Gwen, and it's for Bud and Stanley.
And now, Please Please Me by belting up and singing Please Please Me.
Yeah.
Jerry, nice to have you with us. You've been enjoying the show?
Fabulous, thanks, man.
Good. Well, now I know you're a great mate of the Beatles, so I wondered if you'd care to introduce their next one for us. They're going to do their new record number.
Oh, very good. Yeah, definitely. This is one which I really think is going to be a hit. Hope so, anyway.
A number one like yours?
Oh, yeah. And, I just hope it's going to be a hit, and I've nothing more I can say except, how do you do it? If you like it. And I sincerely hope that this one...
Tell them what it's called, then.
No, not yet. Wait.
Oh.
Sincerely hope this one will go from the #1 spot from me to you. Thank you.
John, Paul, George, and Ringo, the Beatles. When we all had a trouble and parted, we'll be the same as we started.
Well,
It came in a vision on a flaming pie. You are Beatles with an A, so it came to pass.
I'll buy that one. Paul, this is your song.
Yes. Well, it's a lovely tune. Great favourite of my Auntie Gin's, A Taste of Honey.
does the musical arranging for the group?
Me.
Well, I do.
I do.
Me.
Yes, I do.
I see. Well, look, most of the songs that you sing are original compositions. Which of you composes the song?
That's me again.
Ah, yes, I do.
That's what I call togetherness. Well, look, let's get down to brass tacks. The next number, Thank You Girl, you did write yourself, and who had the original idea? I give up. Let's hear it.
Well, actually, they did give me a go on the LP, and between you and me, I think that's the track that's selling it. And it's a number called Boys.
Well, I think we should hear it now, Ringo. Thank you very much.
So do I.
Time now to hear the first one today from our built-uppers, the Beatles. Well, it seems to be getting to be a habit these days for us to get as many requests for the Beatles as we do for everything else combined. We do read them all, and I've picked one of them out. I'd like you to read this, George, if you would, because this is a very special request.
Well, this is a request from Peggy Lucas of Matlock, who has asked for us to play anything for Miss Valerie Holmes, who's 15 years old in Sheffield Royal Infirmary.
Now here's our top beat group, the Beatles. Their fame, it seems, has now spread to Egypt, from where we received the card that John's going to read.
This is from Bick, and it says, please could you play any Beatle record for Dot, Coral, Yvonne? Oh, we'd like to do Little Richard's Long Tall Sally. Oh, yes.
Obviously, nearly all the requests for the Beatles this week were for their big one from me to you. And here's a request we had from Senelager in Germany.
This one's from Thelma Fox, and it's for her boyfriend.
Me to you.
Earn their rest, George in particular, with one they didn't pen themselves. Start of our show. You know the boys are responsible for their own arrangements. Now, John, tell us, how did you get onto this next one?
Well, like, you just get your guitar, like, and strum it, rocking and rolling, like, mister.
Yes.
Not right, Paul? Yeah, it's like the plucking, you know, and all that strumming music, like.
George, you let us into the secret, will you? George. George, look, just before you leave, what is this secret?
We got the box, Harry.
You've got the box, Harry. Well, Harry, I hope you're very happy with the box. Now, before I get boxed in, you're in luck, Leslie and Dot of Seaforth in Liverpool, and so are you, Sue, Eileen, and Anne of Ilkeston in Derbyshire, because the boys are going to sing the song that you have requested. It's called You've Really Got a Hold on Me. A very good imitation of... It's back into the playing singing position for the Beatles to give us their offering. Okay, Paul, are you right? Left leg over here, right? That's it. Now, left leg there. That's it. Now, your guitar up a bit.
The plaster gets in the way, though.
Well, never mind. You won't notice the pain as you sing Hippie, Hippie Shake.
Pop! Pop go the Beatles!
I've got to find my baby means the Beatles can take a risk.
He just sits there drumming his drums, and we'd never have known it was his birthday last Friday if we hadn't received this card from Joyce and Muriel Eyre of Sheffield. Happy birthday to you, Ringo. There you are, you see, girls, I've passed on the good wishes. Now, where were we? Oh, yes, horses. Right, let's all put our money on the Beatles' next runner. Under starters' orders for Young Blood.
Yes, a winner all the way. Lots of artists have had a crack at this next very lyrical type song with melody to match since it hit the scene in The Music Man a couple of years ago. Now Paul has a go at Till There Was You.
Baby, it's you. Okay, you can take John away now and give him a bottle or something. Lots of cards have come in asking the loaded question, who is Harry? Such as this one, postmarked Bolton from Lynn and Av, who screamed their way through the Beatles' visit to Manchester. Well, we thank you for your interest. Harry does too. We want you to know it's a very good question. More from Harry and his box next week.
Now to round off the show, their very first waxing from the dark days of 1962, and let's hope the Beatles remember all the words of Love Me Do.
Hello, my name's Lee Peters. Now, let's see. Lead guitar propping up George Harrison, rhythm guitar and John Lennon holding tight to it, bass guitar spoiling our view of Paul McCartney, and that sturdy set of drums waiting for Ringo Starr to beat the daylights out of it. That's all we need for the sound we've come to know as the Beatles, so all's right with the world. Or will be when we've had a shot of rhythm and blues.
B from the boys. Now, girls. The fellows here are all putting on so much weight with all the jelly babies you've been sending. Boxes and boxes and boxes of them. They love them, you understand, but with what you've sent so far, there's enough to last them through till about 1968. So I think we'd better cut down on the jelly babies a bit, eh? Oh, and talking about presents, I made a little bit of a nit of myself last week because somebody wrote in and said it was Ringo's birthday on June the 7th. It is not. I can definitely say that it is on July the 7th. So we'll be pleased to receive all those cards wishing Ringo a happy birthday. We've all heard about the wonders of Nashville, Tennessee. Now the Beatles take up a country and western sound.
R&B, I think.
It's a waltz.
Oh, is it?
Trad, lad.
Really? Well, whatever it is, you take it up to give us the gen on Memphis, Tennessee.
Just outside of Liverpool. Nashville of the North.
Now, just to prove that Ringo on the drums can talk, here he is, to read a card that comes to us from Southport.
We've had a request for a taste of honey from all Paul fans at the Birkdale Convent. Mandy, Tricia, Trudy, Pippa, Di, Angela. From a George fan. I'm going back to me drums.
Hard luck, Ringo. We all know that today is Paul's 21st birthday. In fact, to judge by the number of cards, half the world knows. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lee. I'd just like to say to all the people who sent cards and presents and everything, thank you very much. Okay?
Yes. Well, you're going to sing something for them?
Yeah, a taste of honey.
Lovely. Still down-tempo and still in romantic mood, as we see how all that fingering practice shows dividends. George is the leader, but sooner or later we're all sure to fall. Now the Beatles practically have a scream-up session all on their own. More for the joy of living than for the lolly involved, they mint their version of Money.
Every night?
Well, go on.
No, again.
Well, once more won't hurt you. They want to hear this one.
I'll
we promised.
Right,
all right.
Okay, Mother.
Thank you, fellas.
Okay.
From me to you.
Thank you very much. Now, we brought down front stage Paul McCartney, who I believe was 21 last week, right, Paul?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Did you have a party?
Yeah, we had a great time. Yeah. Marvellous. Lovely.
Any girls there? Any girls there?
Oh, yeah, one or two, you know.
Well, now, for the benefit of all the little darlings who weren't there, how about you singing a song for them?
Yeah, okay, then we'll do Taste of Honey.
Now, we don't normally play requests on Easy Beat, but all the ladies in the country seem to have known for weeks and weeks that the Beatles were going to be on today, and I've been overwhelmed by a shoal of letters all saying, will you please ask the Beatles to sing especially for me, etc., etc. Well, now, if I were to read out all the names, I'd be here right into the middle of Gene Metcalf's bumper bundle. So, for everybody who asked for it, here is From Me to You.